Hi, hi. Let me know if y'all can hear me. Good. Add you. And then I'm going to add the other people. Ah,
Hi.
hey,
Can you hear me?
Sarah.
I'm not sure if I'm audible. Can you hear
I
me?
can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah, I
great.
can hear you. Okay, I
Hello.
just invited our lovely other people. So we'll just give them a minute to join. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. How are you?
I know it's such like a
I never know
complicated
how to answer that
question.
question. I never know how to answer that question.
It's like so automatic to ask, right? You're just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, I've honestly, I've just been answering it truthfully. When someone's like, "How are you?" I'm just like, doing the best I can. Because
hmm
what else is there to say?
My
Like,
go-to answer is I don't know.
no,
That is
but
my
that's
answer.
so
That I don't
valid. But that is so valid, right?
know.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Uh, yeah, it's like when you're in it, you know. When you're not, you don't know.
hmm hmm
Perfect. So I just saw Congo friends came, so I'm sending them. Uh-oh. Oh, I think something's going on with their account. So let me send the invite to Akeem directly. So he might have to use his personal page. Give me one. Oh, it says join. Hey, there we go. Hi, Akeem.
Hi,
Welcome, welcome.
I'm so sorry for the.
All good. I see Miaza just joined us as well too, so let's get her on. Can I tell you how happy it makes me to see all of your faces? I was just like, Black love, black magic. It just, yeah, it just warms the heart. Okay, so she should be joining us. Yes.
Hi.
Yay! How are you? Okay, your hair looks amazing today. Can I
Thank
just
you.
say that?
Thank you. I'm just getting home from work.
Oh no, you look amazing today.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
Thank you. Hi,
Okay.
everyone.
Hey.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So I just want to start off with just some quick introductions first, because some of us follow each other, others don't, and then we have a few people who are on the live that have no clue who any of us are. So we'll kind of go around in a circle. And right now, the order I have is right here is Sada, and then Akeem, and then Mesa. So if you guys can all just like introduce yourself, let us know where you're from and what Black love means for you. So take a minute. Sada, you're starting us off.
I
I know,
know.
I saw that
It's
face. I
like I'm
saw
not
that
ready.
face.
Okay, I'll go for it. I'll go first, I guess. My name is Sarah or Sarah, whichever you prefer. I'm a freelance editor and writer. I'm based in Phoenix, and I've been following the war in Sudan for the last 305 days. Um, what Black love means to me is, I'll say the word first, and don't judge me because I have conflicted feelings about it, but Black love means to me resilience, not in the sense that we are strong despite it all, in the sense that even in the face of so many forces wanting to destroy our sense of love and joy, we persevere in demonstrating that love and believing in it and holding each other close.
Oh, I love that. Love that. Yay. And I'm just going to note, just for everyone listening, Sada's downplaying how amazing she is, because the fact that she's literally been on it every single day. The emotional labor is something that I don't think folks truly understand, because a lot of times when you're seeing us on the screen, we're on, right? Like we're on, we're here, we're present, and you're not seeing all of the tears before and after. You're not seeing all of the heartache before and after. All you're seeing is this desperate need to convey the message to the world so folks can have the information and act. So the fact that you're here and you're smiling and you're still doing this on day, I think we're at what, 305, 306? 305?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, day 305, and you're still going strong. That is the resilience that we're talking about. The fact that you still found a way to smile through all of this. So thank you, Sada. You're amazing. Akeem.
So I'll start with my name.
Oh, we can't hear you too well. It's a little
You
choppy.
can't hear me too well, but now. Can
Try talking again.
you hear me right now?
It's very scratchy.
Right.
No, now you're muted.
Now I'm muted.
No, you're good now. You're good now.
I'm good now. Okay. So I'll start by my name. So my name is Olame Akim Muliri. So pretty much Akim will be the easiest one to pronounce for most people. So that's why a lot of people call me just Akim. Right now I'm in Louisiana. I'm going to LSU as a student, and also I'm doing also I'm a consultant in cybersecurity as well at LSU. And pretty much when it comes to the main reason we are here today, I'm the charge of public relations at the Future of Congo. And my origins would be pretty much I'm from the Congo. I'm Congolese. I'm coming from the eastern side of the Congo, pretty much where we've been hearing about all the noise going on. And mainly the main towns would be Goma, that's where I'm from. And on the other side, uh, what was the other question again?
What does Black love mean to you?
Black love. There we go. So I'm gonna go with this one. So I'm gonna say, pretty much first of all, based on where I'm from and everything like that, I was still something here. I'm gonna say resilience first. Yeah, that's something I love. I love that word. Like I learned English. English is not my first language, but resilience when I heard like what it means and everything like that, I fell in love with the word itself. So I would say a resilience. The other one, pretty much, I would say self-love, because if you don't love yourself, you can't do anything without loving yourself. You don't have like a lot of roadblocks in order to, you cannot fight for yourself if you don't love yourself. So I would say self-love for that one. And also, it's not about just self-love. You know, like for us, when you go with Black love, you learn to accept everybody as family. So it's not only limited to yourself. You go first yourself, and then you go with everybody else. You just take them, and that's where resilience can come from, because we accept. We kind of we we like a lot of things, a lot of good things, like an all in one right there. So yeah.
Love that. Love that. And honestly, I've learned so much from you, even during like our last call. That was just absolutely fantastic. I got my book. Now I'm like schooling people. I'm like, have you read?
Oh, did you read the book, by the way?
Yeah, I started reading. It is heavy though. I'm gonna tell you, it's heavy.
Yeah, it's
It
heavy.
is a lot
It's
of
heavy.
content. I thought I was
That's a
gonna
lot.
blow through it, but I was like, okay, no, he was right. He was right. He was right.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So it's pretty much you
And
learning about three countries at the same
in
time.
one,
Yeah.
yeah. But and this is why like I was just so inspired to like do this, because there's so much like interconnection. And I
Yep.
think one big thing that's really missing for me when I'm thinking about the continent is, you know, we're each doing our thing. Is there room for us to come together? Because it's the same beast, right? It's the same beast. We're all battling. So I love that. And last but not least, go ahead, Asa, introduce yourself.
Hi, Akim. Very nice to meet you. Sarah, I have been
Thank
following
you.
the work on Twitter. I'm a fan. That's
Oh,
really nice.
1 second. Akeem, can you do me a favor? When you're not talking, can you go on mute? Because the background's really loud.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Let me do that.
Yeah, so I was
There we
just
go.
saying, yeah, I've been following Sarah's work online, even starting the beginning of the conflict in Sudan. So I'm a fan, and I can only imagine, but I also know what you must be going through. I feel it. So it's an honor to share space with you, and Kim, it's really nice to meet you. My name is Muazza. I am from Tigray, Ethiopia. I am an international relations researcher by training, but I have been leading advocacy and community organizations since the beginning of the Tigray genocide. Today we are on, I think we're reaching 2,000 days since the beginning of the Tigray genocide that has so far claimed over 1 million lives. I have been leading advocacy globally. I worked with multiple organizations within the Tigray genocide, within the Tigray community. Our efforts so far have focused on putting an end to the genocide, but also providing humanitarian aid to the people because they have created a self-sustaining catastrophe that continues to endanger the people's safety and life even after the guns are silenced to a degree. So I have been on the front lines of doing that, but advocacy and activism has been something I started doing since I was very young. Black love for me, unfortunately, like Sarah said, it means resilience. I don't like it, but that's what it means. It means having to be strong in the face of atrocities and oppression for generations. But I hope there will come a time where Black love means happiness and not resilience, because being resilient and strong isn't something beautiful. It really isn't. It's good that we survive. It's good that we find a way not to be extinct, but I don't aspire to be resilient. It's exhausting, it's tiring. Having gone through the Tigray genocide for over 3 years now, and having led advocacy, having to have to be strong, not only for you, but for your entire community, I know the kind of toll that takes. So I wish there will come a time where Black people, and particularly Africans, would find a space to say Black love means happiness. It means letting go, being, letting loose and just relaxing. But unfortunately for now, I too think Black love means resilience and strength.
Yeah. And just to that point, when I'm thinking about like that resilience and strength, that's in some way sort of like a co-opting of Black love, right? So Black love had to transform into something for survival. But we're so much more beyond that. Like each one of our histories, like even when I'm looking like ancestrally, when I'm looking pre-colonially, there's so much beauty and so much richness into what made us, because we are ancient, like, right? Like each one of us comes from very ancient communities and civilizations. And so through our existence, like these past few hundred years are just a fraction of everything we have been and everything that we continue to be. And so when folks have this colonial view of the continent where they're constantly expecting there to be war, they're expecting there to be poverty, they're expecting to be hardships, it boils my blood, because I'm thinking like first of all, you made that, we didn't make that, our history is completely different, so like don't come at me with your disruption of what we made. But also, can you not see how rich we are beyond that, and that what we're doing right now and how we're showing up is to reclaim all of the beauty that we started creating. And so I don't want to focus too much on the genocide specifically. I want to focus on the people and on the love. And one thing that I would love for each of you to go and share is, what is something badass from your history that you love that many people might not know about? So what makes Sudan so special? What makes Tigray so special? What makes the Congo so special before we've had this interruption of our history? And you can go in any order, so whoever wants to jump in can jump in.
Seems like you have a shy crowd.
I know. I was like, if I need to jump in, I'll jump in because I got a lot.
I gotta think. I gotta take a few minutes to think.
Wait, so let me preface this for everyone listening. I did not give them any of the questions yet. So they're here, they're showing up. They're just like, we're just trusting you. We're just going to come into it. And one of the reasons why I do that is because I just want it to be authentic. I just want it to be raw. I don't want it to be scripted. I want just whatever's in your heart, let that come out.
I can go ahead as they think, just to save time. I think Tigray is such a beautiful place. Our mountains, the land, it's so beautiful, it's so sacred, it's so small and yet so mighty. We have such a beautiful nature. If you love hiking, you'd love Tigray. We have this rocking church, and it's extremely rich in terms of culture and history. Our hairdo, our dresses, the way we live our life is just such a beautiful thing that you'll never be bored of. But I think most importantly, we are the emblem of Black liberty, Black freedom. And that's primarily because it's in Tigray and Adwa, where Italians, the white colonizers, were defeated for the very first time by Black people in the entire human history. So Tigray is home to the first Black liberty. And the Battle of Adwa, which was fought again in a place called Adwa that's located in central Tigray, has become an inspiration for the African liberation that was led by the likes of the Hurricane, I'm sorry, I'm mixing them, the Maui movements and so many other liberty, freedom fighters across Africa. So for me, Tigray is an emblem of Black freedom and Black liberty, but it's also home to, it's a place where people with difference coexist together. Although we're small, but it's very diverse. It's home to the Ark of the Covenant. It's home to the first African mosque. So it's like a place where Christian and Muslims live coexist and live happily together. It's also home to one of the very ancient civilizations, the Aksumite civilization, from which Ethiopia derives its alphabet and calendar, and every beautiful thing that you know about Ethiopia comes pretty much from Tigray. So Tigray is just this jewel, it's a very small and yet very rich and precious place that even thinking about it, thinking about the beauty and the richness in our culture, it just makes my heart warm.
I see the smile, I see the energy left. It's just like, oh, I can share so much. And I love that, right? Like, how beautiful is that? That is, Thank you. Hey, who's up next? Don't be shy. Be proud. Come on. It is Black History Month and today is Black Love. So we are going to step into Black History Month with our hearts forward and our pride in our chest.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for the noise over here. So it's Mardi Gras over here. So Louisiana, it's crazy on Mardi Gras. So pretty much for Congo. So where should I start? Congo. Yeah. So it's like one of the biggest one. I would say the second biggest country in Africa. We have around 2,304,000. So 2,345,000 kilometers square. That's how big it is. And we have almost all seasons over there. You have a dense forest. You have the whole mountain. We have a lot of volcanoes. Most of them, they're still active. We have beautiful lakes, beautiful isles. Congo, you got everything from savannas to dense forests. Almost all the animals you can imagine, you can think of. We have them there. Very beautiful landscape. So when it comes to the people, I would say pretty much one thing that all Africans share is the culture.
Mm.
So for the Congo, we have the culture. We're very uh, like immersed like into music and everything like that. So like music is our life because it brings everybody together. So
Mm.
recently they added the Congolese rumba into the one of the UNESCO monuments or something like that.
Mm.
So pretty much it's one of the biggest one down there, and he influenced like a lot of things from around Cuba, like it's everything mixed, like Cuba, African, Zumba, everything mixed. Like I was in Puerto Rico, I could find myself in there because everything I could relate to a lot of things. So it's pretty much like culturally, it's so beautiful, it's amazing. People are so happy, and what makes
Yeah.
like our people being like very different is, as you remember, I told you like in 2002, the hometown I was living in. So we had like a volcano eruption, so near Congo, and it burned down the entire town. The whole town
Mm.
like was erased from the map. So today, if you get there, you will never know that it was not there.
Mm.
In 2002, we had nothing, only stones. We came back, we broke those stones, we used them for fences,
Mm.
monument, everything you can
Mm.
think of, like structure and everything. And we rebuilt the entire town. Today you're gonna find like asphalt everywhere, people still dancing and everything, still happy. But everything, every time we have chapters coming, going, and then we get back on our feet
Oh
very
yes.
fast and we adapt. Yeah. So it's very beautiful. And then the music always along. Like you
Okay,
see,
see,
we
I
had
tried
like
learning some of the dance moves, and that was not happening. It was not happening because, like in Sudan and East Africa, we're a little more top heavy with what we do, and
yeah,
y'all are more bottom heavy. And I
yeah,
tried, I
bottom
tried.
heavy. Over
Yeah,
there it's
it
bottom
did not
heavy,
work.
bottom heavy. And
I'm like,
also
can
it
I like?
depends because if you go all the way up to the northeastern part of the Congo, so the dance moves are pretty much close to what you got in South Sudan and also in Uganda and also in Kenya. So it's very heavy, like on the shoulder side. So when you go all the way up north, you got something close to Central Africa. When you go down south, they got something very like that's gonna be like
That's
bottom
the
side.
wine that I can't do.
Yeah, and then when you go to southwest, everything will be close to what you can find like in Angola, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
and if you look at it closely, uh, the bottom side also will be the same as Tanzania because we have also a huge border there with Tanzania. So the culture will be pretty much close together. So
That sounds
the way we
cool.
like that's how we start sharing languages like Eastern Africa. They also take Congo inside because we have like a whole lot of people who speak Swahili, so we can easily communicate with Rwanda, Burundi,
Yeah.
Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, and it's just beautiful. So yeah,
I
and
love that.
you guys didn't mention how many languages you all speak. They got a lot of languages in Ethiopia. They got a lot in Sudan. They got a lot in Congo. Like around like 200 something. Yeah. So and
Well,
all
so
that because of the borders. We had our borders with our tribes, and
yeah.
then they came to install like those colonial borders, and we found some people on the other side of the border, other inside, and everything like that.
Well,
It just happened to be
exactly.
like that.
It's just
But we're
that we
still the
didn't
same
make the
people.
lines. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we're
didn't make the lines.
the same people. Yeah,
Like
no, it's
even
beautiful.
yeah, like even me with my so on my mom's side I'm like Bagara Miseria. So like if you look at the belt like of that tribe, it goes like west to east, the whole thing here, right? So I'm just like, okay, so y'all just like chose a country for us to belong to. And that's it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of
Never mind
crazy.
we're thousands of years old, but okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Sada, it's you, boo.
Okay, well, in terms of um, badass history, I think my mind immediately goes to the fact that we had ancient kingdoms, right? Ancient Nubian kingdoms. Uh, I can think of, Kush and Funj and all these. I mean, they're not all specifically Nubian, but I think that's a history that's been erased by colonialism, by subsequent dictatorships. They don't want us to remember a time, that time that we were great, that we built the pyramids. Our pyramids, I believe, are the oldest, and I think Sudan has the most number of pyramids. So uh, in terms of like ancient history, I think I hold on to that as a source of pride, certainly. But in our modern history, I would say our revolutionary spirit is what really pushes me through. Because I mean, our revolutions happen to the month. We have one October revolution, another October revolution, one April revolution, another April
I
revolution.
don't want these anniversaries no more.
I don't. I mean, true talk.
Like
I
if
don't.
we need them,
Right.
but like I really don't want to.
But I think it's something so. I think it's a history that also is not talked about very much, but it's a source of strength, and also of hope. Because when I think of the 2019 revolution and the fact that 30 years of al-Bashir, a violent, vile, oppressive dictatorship, nobody thought we would get out of that. No one thought he could be overthrown.
Honestly.
And we did that, and our youth did that, and that brings me to my third point. Our women did that, and that's the other thing that like we don't really get to hear about a lot, but I gather great strength from is the fact that we've always we have a history of strong women, right? Going all the way back to the Nubian queens, right? The Kandakas, Amani Renas, Amani Shotu, all of these, right? And going forward into modern history, all of these women who you might not have heard of, but are huge influences in our history, have had life-altering contributions to Sudan's history. So, yeah, that I think is the badassness that I channel as I drag myself out of bed every day trying to make it through.
Just channel it in. Okay, so Sada, I know you're very humble and you're very shy, so I'm gonna keep making you awkward. Like I'm including you in those revolutionary modern women.
Don't.
Like you, no. Listen, if we're not gonna gas each other up, who's gonna do it for us? Right. And
what about you? What is some of the badassery that you draw strength from?
Well, it's definitely the Kandar, because like that's something that I'm very like deeply in. So I do a lot of like self-study with it and independent study, especially with just who were we during that time? What did we do during that time? And when I hear things like, okay, we were matrilineal, we weren't patrilineal, like, okay, what kind of society did that build for us? And how did we navigate with each other when it comes to that? And so for me, like the badassery, like that's in the XX chromosome in Sudan for me. So I am so proud of that. And then just like the beauty of all of our different tribes and how they've, despite colonialization, have maintained so much richness and so much connection to their history, when it could have very well been completely erased and broken, right? And that's one of the things that I just love about our continent. Like, we're going to find a way, no matter what, we're going to find a way, but stop making more barriers for us, right? So that we can actually get to part two. Because right now we're just constantly taking out the fires that are being thrown on us, right? And so when we think about the entire continent, and we know that there's some separations, we know that folks are doing their own individual thing, but in your opinion, in your heart, when you're thinking about the essence of Black love within the continent in mind, is there an offering that you want to extend to Sudan, Congo, Ethiopia, Tigray, for them to really just start loving not only themselves, but finding a way to extend that love to one another? Everyone's thinking.
I I I have something
Okay.
that may not be exactly what you're
That's
asking, but
okay.
I think needs to be said. Uh, as Sudanese people, we've sort of been forcibly removed from the continent, like the continental family,
Yep.
for quite some time. I think politically we've been distanced from not only our region, East Africa, but like the continent as a whole. And so one of the things, one of the many goals of the 2019 revolution was to get back to that,
Mm.
get back to uh, celebrating and claiming the African identity. And I think in that separation, when I talk to Tigrayans, for example, immediately there is a shared connection. There is such a closeness between people, whether they lived in Sudan or whether they have Sudanese friends or whatever. There's just that like deep connection between people. And I'm just sad that that was never forged in a political sense, or that that was, people aim to destroy that. And I think that for us, I mean, even if you look at Sudan within the country, it's like a demonstration of that separation inside the country as well.
Yeah.
So the way for us to rebuild and to heal is to love one another and build the bonds between tribes, between ethnicities that have been successively broken down over years and years and years, but also taking that off to the rest of the continent with our region in East Africa and also across the continent. I think a lot of people think that Sudanese uh, agreed to that we agreed to be considered not African or agreed to reject the African identity. And I feel like that's not true for a vast majority of us. And the rest of us, in my opinion, are brainwashed, right? This
Don't
idea
get
that
me
you can only
started.
take one side, right? One identity, either you're Arab or you're African. And don't pick the African because, of all the preconceived notions that go along with that. So for me, I think my offering to the rest of the continent would be, we're sorry, and we want to be in the fold. Take us back into the fold. I think definitely rebuilding that relationship with our African brothers and sisters is paramount.
Okay, so for someone who thought they weren't going to answer the question correctly, you dropped the mic. So I love that so much because that's part of like what we need to do to unlearn and decolonize ourselves, right? Because even when we are looking at that map of Africa, how many of us can right away visualize the lines and the borders and be like, okay, this is my part, that's their part, and that's so and so's part, right? And I'm only going to focus on here. Because that's what it was for me, even too, for a long time. Like, oh my God, especially like in high school, like if you asked me anything outside of East Africa, I had no clue. East and North Africa, that's all I knew. That's literally all I knew. And I'm just like, oh yeah, there's other countries too.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things that that I've noticed is people I know who have been displaced by the war and have gone to African countries, right? Like there are a lot of people who went to Uganda, for example. There's a huge population that went to Rwanda. Like the enlightenment that they're experiencing right now, like, hold on, this is like nothing we've ever experienced. We didn't know it was like this. We've been so welcomed, for the most part. These are some of the stories that I'm hearing, and it's like, yeah, what did you think? But we didn't know. We didn't know.
Yeah.
We were closed up.
It's
Yeah,
like
so,
when you have
like
the
I said, building
F-boy
those
on one
bonds.
side and then like the sweetheart who wants to love up
Right.
on you on the other side. We were too busy looking over there.
Listen, after that
And
fuck boy, see where it got us.
Meanwhile, the sweet one's there like, come, let me love you, put your feet up,
Right.
give you a hug. We're ready for the hug. And we're so sorry it took us so long to get there. Amazing. Okay, who do we have next?
I can piggyback on what Sarah said. I think the need for us to love one another. I think it's very important that we also redefine what it means to be African, what it means to be Pan-African. Because for me, often than not, like the notion of Pan-Africanism has been weaponized against the African citizens in order to protect African statesmen. So I think it's yeah. So I think it's really, really important that we define what it means to love Africa, what it means to love Africans, and our understanding of developing Africa, seeing a prosperous and safer and stable Africa should focus on its citizens. And regardless of our skin tone, oppression should be oppression all the time, and we should be, you know, disgusted by it, and we should fight it, regardless of who the person doing it is. I say this because I see many African leaders, including Al-Bashir, the Ethiopian current prime minister, and across the board. I've seen them often, like many times, silencing the African citizenry in order to continue their hold of power, and they do that by putting this emphasis on the statehood rather than the people. So this, you know, state-centered understanding of security and development needs to go. Like, it's time that we have a human-focused understanding of security and development, and what it means to have a beautiful continent. I think as long as we don't do that, then this, you know, sense of love that we want to have for one another is going to be weaponized in order to deepen our suffering as citizens. So really important that in addition to loving each other, that we focus our understanding, that we redefine what it means to be Pan-Africanist. And the other thing is that we need to get away from this Eurocentric understanding of development and democracy. I see that being a problem everywhere across the board. You know, we try like to forget who we are, that we have like unique threats as people. Like, we have tribes, we have ethnicities, we have, you know, nations and nationalities in small in countries. So you can't really, like, under the guise of democracy, you can't really oppress these voices, this, you know, innate differences that people have. So in addition to loving each other and redefining Pan-Africanism, making it more citizen-centered, we also need to understand that this Eurocentric understanding of development is going to destroy us. It would never help us create a better future for the next generation. And that goes in line with respecting the innate differences we have and learning to coexist. Loving Africa doesn't necessarily mean making it one. It just means coexisting together, recognizing the innate differences we have, because there is beauty in our diversity, right? So I think that would be my offering. But also, you know, Sarah, I can relate to what Sarah was saying. You know, when these people that are uprooted from their homes due to the conflict, they are now in different African countries, and they're like being shocked, learning different things. The same thing happened to me. The same thing happened to everybody that comes from different part of the continent, not only Sudan. And I think it's a result of the oppressive education policies and everything governments have employed, you know, historically. And they do that because they know if we know our roots, our history, then we will connect and we will fight against oppression against them. So it was their way of keeping us dumb and informed about each other, about our culture, history, the fact that we're so connected, in order to extend their reign on power. So we are products of the policies that we grew up under, and one of the policies is that keeping the African citizens dumb and uninformed. And I think it's good that now we have a generation of people who have been exposed to different cultures and are using, you know, their voices in order to amplify each other's plight, but also to learn about each other's history, recognizing that our future is intertwined. So I think it's good that we're having this cultural shocks, that we know that we're finding out there is so much we don't know about each other. And I hope after being shocked, we use that information to inform others. That way we can be reconnected and empowered to demolish this idea of Africanism that has been installed in our minds, that only serves those in power and not necessarily the people that continue to suffer. So I think that's the other offering I have. And the last one is to remember that it's not only the white man that is working against us, it's also our family members, people that share our language, our culture, our identity, that continue to weaponize their power against us. So as we fight colonialism, as we fight neoliberalism and everything else, we also need to fight against those who are, who look like us, who come from the same background as we do, but continue to forget who they are and continue to weaponize their power to oppress us. So I think our fight needs to be twofold. It should have an external facing, and then there has to be an internal facing. So I think these are some of the offerings I have, in addition to what Sarah said. Yeah.
Love. That was so holistic, and it just felt so complete. And I don't know
That
if
was
you
a
can see
meal.
some of
That was a meal.
That was
full.
a meal. Yes. I'm ready for my shy. Like, we're done.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So actually, for me, actually, I really love what you're saying because at first, when I was like, when Sarah said, "Hey, we have to love each other," so I was like, "Yes, but it doesn't work for my situation in the Congo because we have a whole different story. It's kind of like I said it last time. It's kind of very, very. I don't know how I can describe it, but it's some somehow similar and also different at the same time. And then the best thing I heard was accepting our diversity, like our differences, just accepting it. Because with the Congo, as I said, it's very big. It's very big. We have a problem with infrastructure, like taking roads to go to the west. You're gonna have people who never been to the other side of the country. They've been born, they're gonna die, they never been on to the other side of the country. And the same thing applies to the people on the west side as well. So they don't know how people on the other side live. So the main problem we have right now with everything that happened in 96, 97, in also like in '02, in '08, recently as well, is pretty much like we had like multiple invasions and everything like that coming from neighboring states, right? So all of a sudden, the people in the West, they wanted to support their fellows like in the East, but they didn't know how they're gonna do it because with the tribes, you're gonna have some people from Rwanda also on the other side, like Rwandan, like Tutsis and Hutus, also in Congo, they're Congolese as well because of the borders. So it's kind of hard to know who is who. So all of a sudden, for them, they never seen them. They just come up and say like, "Hey, everybody who looks like this, everybody who's like light skin and everything like that, they're from Rwanda," and that also create like somehow some divisions and everything like that. So far, it's very hard to come up with just something saying like, "Hey, love one another," because I know those people there, they love everybody all the way to a certain point of the border of the Congo, and then they go and look at everybody else. They say, "It's just safe to say you're from Rwanda because I don't know exactly where you're from because I've never seen you," right? So it's pretty much coming to a point where you have to educate some people who have been brainwashed because sometimes you come with patriotism and then you take it to some pedestal and you mess up all the way up there, right? Because you feel so patriotic that you also have to discard some of yours because you don't know exactly what to do. So love, of course, it's something. But when you come with love, you're gonna have some people who are gonna be greedy, but won't go with what you come with. So it's pretty much like I've been living in Goma. I've been living with our fellow Rwandans, right? We share borders over there. We can be in conflict, but our border right there will be open because they know like that specific city is far away from their capital city and ours is far away from our capital city. We coexisting right there. People come on the other side to study, the other one goes on the other side to trade, and by the end of the day, everybody go back to his house, and that's pretty much it. So for us, it's pretty easy to understand that, saying like, hey, not all Rwandans are our enemies. Pretty much like right now, what we're trying to bring up forward is saying like we don't have any problems with Rwandans, but we have problems with the politics of Rwanda, which is
Separating
very
the
different.
government
So
and its
we
movement
have a
from the
problem with the
people.
politics, the guy doing politics, not with the people. But now, since Rwanda has a whole reputation of spies, so you don't know who invaded you, you don't know who's in, who's out. So it's making it very delicate and very hard to talk about and coming up with a solution, because you can be talking to somebody you think is your friend, but is the one that's gonna go and talk on your back, right? So me, on my side, I tell everybody, educate yourself on how it happened. Learn to know like what tribes we have. It's not because you heard like, hey, in '94 they had a genocide in Rwanda. It was involving Hutus and Tutsis, and that's the first time you heard it. And all of a sudden, you just brainwashed. You forget that when they when they put those borders, you had also some Hutus and some Tutsis in Congo, because I've been going to school with Tutsis. I've been going to school with Hutus. They're very amazing. They're good and everything like that. But when it comes to politics, it's very, very different. Right? So accepting our diversity, our differences, that's the biggest thing. So, and also knowing the different, like the conflict itself, you have to understand every single conflict to solve it. You cannot just jump in and you're brainwashed. You don't even know where the problem came from, and then you start solving something with no data on it. You'll be like, hey, this war is financed by Rwanda and everything. All of a sudden, everybody you see that looks Rwandan, or somebody who has a Rwandan name is Congolese, but it has a Tutsi name. You're like, hey, that's a Rwandan. That's the main problem we have in Congo right now. For us in the East, we learned to love each other. We went through a lot that we're like, hey, when I was in this situation, this person helped me. That's my brother, right? For example, during in 2022, so during the volcano eruption, so we all fled in Rwanda, right? So of course it was very hard, because with what happened in '94, when Rwanda led to Congo, right? So that's when everybody with weapons, like all their enemies, like all the Hutus, went in, and then they went to stay in the forest, and now it's a whole militia by its own, trying to threat Rwanda, saying that they're gonna go back, right? And then they're like, okay, so when you have a crisis in Congo, we have to be very careful to make sure that we don't get those people back in. So all of a sudden, we don't know, like, okay, so all those Hutus from Rwanda who went in the forest, right? Where are they going? What their home, because they don't want them back in Rwanda, right? In Congo, they have to keep fighting. They have to keep their guns and everything like that, and they keep like killing people up there. So we don't know what we're gonna do in that situation. If we want to chase them, they have nowhere to go. They're gonna go to Rwanda, or even over there they don't want them. They're gonna push them back to Congo. So, and our people keep suffering. So as I said, like war, it's like a different business, right? I know right now I'm going off topic of what you asked, but there is a lot like going on in the situation of the Congo, that even the silence of people right now, you're going to see they'll be talking about places, but they're going to be a little bit shy about Congo, because a lot of people making money out of it.
Oh yeah.
A lot
Oh
of
yeah.
people making money out of it. Apple will be saying like, hey, we making sure we trace our things and everything, making sure that we don't have minerals from the Congo, because if you look at the smelters list, you're going to see they have a classification just for Congo, right? Even Samsung, everybody who got electronics, they have a classification just for Congo, just to say, hey, this one we got it from this specific vendor, this specific smelter. So it didn't come from those mines and everything like that. But we all know the quantity coming out of the Congo is mixed with some of the blood and everything,
Yep.
because how can you explain that people keep buying guns and they're the ones taking all the mines? So how
Absolutely.
they keep just buying guns and survive and everything. And all those comes into question. You go, you talk to those Tim Cook and everybody, all those CEOs, they're going to be saying like, hey, we don't have, we're trying to solve. So the way they solve it, they say, hey, we're gonna go with due diligence and everything like that, but they don't do anything at all. Even Tesla, they will be like, hey, we're working with this company and everything like that. That's it. They're like, hey, those people do something clean. But when you go over there, they pollute the whole river. All the people, like the villagers, keep dying and everything like that. They don't have clean water anymore. So it's kind of crazy what's happening over there. So
Yeah.
for me, like there's a lot to talk about Congo, and right now it's so hard for one person to come up with a specific solution because it's gonna be just what I think. It's not like I'm an expert into it, so it's not this like what I went through probably shaped the person I am today. But what about the others? You don't see the situation the same way I do. So everybody got their part in it. So if you're doing like, for example, as I said last time, when you ask me like, how can we help in that situation? I just say, everybody just look at what you're best at doing and just bring it in to help people. If you're more like a psychologist, so we got a lot of women that got raped and everything. They don't know where to start with their life and everything like that. So you can just go and talk to them. You're gonna see they've been going through a lot. So you're gonna see like all those children that got kidnapped start like uh, fighting, and then after that they come back. They're like traumatized. They don't know what to do. So sometimes some of them just commit suicide. Some others start
Oh,
going back in the forest just to look for another group that they can just start fighting with. And it's kind of horrible what's happening over there. So it's, as I say, it's not a one person to decide how to approach that problem because you have a lot of places to fix. Because like when you have a lot of wounds, you're bleeding out everywhere. It's very hard to say like, hey,
well,
I'm
it's
gonna
like
prioritize
triage,
this side
right?
over this side.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard. But if you have a lot of surgeons working on it, one can take one part, the other one part, and everything like that, and that's how you can save the people, the person. That's pretty much Congo is something else. Like
Perfect.
everybody gotta help because if Congo is stable, like it can boost Africa because
Mm.
Congo was trying to do like the free trade, but everything went wrong because some people were greedy. As you say, politics. You got some people inside that turns their back to their people just for profit,
Oh yeah.
for their
Well, I
own
think
profit. They don't care
Congo,
about the people.
yeah, I think Congo, I think you even mentioned like if Congo were to get to where it can be, it can feed the whole of Africa for like a
Yeah,
100 years.
exactly. Because there is this one project that they had like back then, like in the late 80s. So they built like a dam. So that dam was like giving electricity to Congo, and almost like South Africa also was taking power from that dam, and also all the way down, right? So they had another project to build a second one to power all Central Africa, right?
Mm.
And also another one to power like most of Africa, right? But after that, that's when the invasion came in and everything like that. Everything fell down. So all the project they had to abandon. So they never worked toward it anymore. So they had to leave everything. And now people became greedy. So the money they found there, they started using for their stuff.
Oh gosh.
Very crazy what's
So
going on there.
that's insane. There's two key things that I pulled out of what you said. One is the collective responsibility for everyone on the continent. And then the other is just how do we actually take those resources that are on our land and use them for our land, our people, without it becoming some like political game that gets interrupted and weaponized to create and foster more harm, right? Because I'm just thinking, like, if all shit was good, Congo's like, yo, I got your back. I got all the food. Sudan's like, yo, I got the gold. I got the bling. We got the Nile. We're good. Tigray's just like, yo, I got the fertile land. Let's do this. Let's go. Like, imagine if each one of those countries was allowed to be its potential and allowed to actually be with one another. Like, they would need to make like a science fiction book for that because of how beautiful that would actually grow to be. And so
Yeah.
that leads me to like my second question, Pan-Africanism. How do you define it? Because I know, man, you spoke on it and it was going to be my question. I was just like, don't say too much right now. We
Yeah.
got to wait.
So, so Pan-African. So I'm gonna start first because my battery is going low
Oh, okay.
right
Yeah,
now.
no worries.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say like, of course, it's gonna come down to being all united, right? So from north, south, west to east, like east to west, we all have to be united. So one example would be, for example, what happened in Congo in 90, 98, right? So after the invasion and everything, something happened when our president was like, they thought he was a puppet, and he just asked like to run an army and everybody to go back to their country because we had a dictatorship before that, and they came to liberate the people, right? So they helped with that, right? And then after that, when they told them to go back to their country, everybody got mad because they had their perspectives and everything, saying like, "Hey, we're gonna come exploit, and then we're gonna try to get our fit back and everything like that," right? So, and then it was so hard for them to go back that they went back to the east and they start fighting over there, right? So that what happened in Kisangani when Rwanda and Uganda fought, and it was like two different nations on our ground, and the casualties were local people. So a lot of them died over there while fighting, and the main reason was over there they had a lot of gold and diamonds somewhere in the area, so they wanted to know like who's gonna stay with that, right? So they had to fight. So on the other side, right, what I loved about that during that situation, it was so bad that our government went to court. It was South Africa. Uh, it was South Africa, Mozambique, Zambia, Zimbabwe, like Angola, Libya financed it, and it was like around 9 or 12 countries from Africa that came in just to make sure that the situation was good. So that's how we brought down the tension, right? All of them, they came together. So like Libya was like, we cannot send everybody, but we can finance it because war is so expensive. We can send you like all ammunition you need and everything like that. So you got also uh, Angola was like, hey, we're gonna secure all your borders on this side over here. Zambia, same. So they all came in. They they took care of the situation pretty well. And after that, everybody went back home saying like, okay, so everything is stabilized. So now we can do our free trading together, right?
Mm.
So now with the situation we have now, right, we try to reproduce the same thing, but we have a conflict with Rwanda at this point, right? So we part of also the Eastern African community, right? Because we speak Swahili. We also part of the Central Africa community because of our geography, and also we part of a community that they call SADC. That's pretty much what saved us, like in '98, right? So with Angola and everybody. So this time we were like, okay, since it's in East, let's get with South Sudan, Rwanda, uh, South Sudan, Burundi, Tanzania, Kenya, right? To come send their forces to help us. That was the Eastern African force, right?
Yeah.
So they came. They've been fighting, but it was not solving anything because for some reason Uganda also had some people in, and they had also their enemies in, and everything like that. They started exploiting. So it was like a whole thing going on. The people were so mad. They were like, "Hey, why are you bringing like the Eastern African community in?" And they've been ties with Rwanda like for years, and also Uganda. They fought in our country. They killed a lot of people. We don't want it. So now they had now again to change. They're like, okay, we're gonna go back also with our other community, SADC. So now telling again Eastern African community to go out so they can bring in other people, like other people. It's like a whole logistic kind of.
Oh my
And the
God.
main reason
I
Congo, they say like the
understand.
second Congo War was the like the African World War, just because they had most of the nations of Africa involved in that. So that's the main reason they say like the Second World War. So right now we have more than 8 million displaced, like 7 million people died and everything like that. It's crazy. It has been going on like for 30